Welcome back, and we're now looking at state of the nation, and this time around we're just practically looking at the Osun State election and matters arising from that, and generally talk about elections in Nigeria. It will seem as if there are a number of issues that have come out from the elections, from Anambra to Edo to Ondo to Ekiti and now to Osun. We've had all of these midterm elections come up over the last 1 year, 1.5 years or so. And what a lot of people have said are some of the things we'll take a look at this morning. To have this conversation with us today, I will start from my extreme left, and that's a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Mr. Kingsley Omose. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. Sitting next to him is a policy analyst and strategic management consultant, Mr. Chiksunwagwara. Great to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning.
And on my right-hand side is a lecturer and the head of Department of Mass Communication at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Good morning and welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Good. Because you are in the mass communication department, and the fact that you would have contact with people who are journalists, I would want to start with you, Mr. Jide Johnson. What's your thought and what's the feedback you're getting from those who covered the Osun State election? Let's start from there.
Essentially, I think the major issue has been the militarization of the electoral process, the heavy presence of security personnel, and has been the major issue that has become a topical issue that everyone seems talking about as regards the full-fledged presence of the Nigerian forces and during the course of the election, before and after the election. I think has been the issue that has agitated the mind of a lot of people, and that people have been calling for. Even the former president, whose birthday is tomorrow, even granted an interview yesterday in which he talked about military involvement in politics. And to me, it's a mixed bag of feeling, in the sense that whether we like it or not, as long as we have an atmosphere that we make the election to be free, fair, and the result will be credible, I think that's the kind of atmosphere we should call for in all of our elections. Whether, if the military are not present, should we allow the UWA boys to be present, or should we allow hoodlums to be present? If the presence of the military will guarantee the sanctity of the electoral process, I think we should embrace it.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Mose then. You know that a lot of the members of the opposition, they have this resentment that elections are usually compromised, and that a number of things will lead to a situation where the opposition will have absolutely no chance of winning the election because the incumbent will do everything to retain power. But then the PDP has lost four out of the last 5 elections in the different states that we've had recently. Do you think they're justified in feeling that resentment, the APC especially?
The opposition parties?
Yes.
Well, I think it's just normal for people to... The thing about Nigeria is that there's a lot of noise. And usually that noise precedes major elections, and people just come out to protest about what they perceive is going to happen or is not going to happen. And eventually, when the results come out, depending on the outcomes, people are satisfied or not satisfied. And I think in each of the states that you've mentioned, with the exception of Ekiti, where there was a surprise that it was won by Fayuchi of the PDP, most of the outcomes of these elections have been very predictable. So the feeling of the agitation of opposition parties regarding what they think the outcome of these elections will be has not really affected the outcome of these elections. And what I would normally encourage in situations like this is that we look towards the feelings of the people. My colleague here was talking about what happened in Osun State. Even if you had soldiers on the ground, how did the people respond? After the elections, did the people come out to say the presence of the soldiers affected the outcomes of the elections? I think we should look for more accurate indicators of what is happening, as opposed to indicators that we get from politicians who are moved by partisan interests, so that we can come out with opinions that are very accurate.
Okay, Mr. Wagmara, he is talking about accurate
Indicators. Yes.
indicators. What would you say are the accurate indicators coming from the elections before Osun and even Osun?
You see, the good thing about elections in Nigeria in recent times is that we've always had an army of observers, local and international observers. And at the end of each of the process, they turn in their reports. And those their reports are more objective than the participants will ever let us know. And in most of these elections, from Edo to Ondo to Anambra to Ekiti and the recent one in Osun, their reports have always indicated that the elections were credible and that they were a fair representation of the wishes of the people. Yes, we have the presence of security operatives at these elections. And then, yes, they have been criticized in some quarters. But those who are doing the criticisms have not come out to tell Nigerians what the alternative should be. As somebody said here, would the alternative be hoodlums taking over? The military, the security services, received Mervyn Oga, the spokesperson for the Department of State Services, said they had credible information that people were planning to foment trouble. And it had been responsible of the government to sit idly by without doing anything and then get these people to maybe disrupt the election. Don't forget our history of elections in this country, right from the First Republic. After the